Comic Timing
is a proud member
of the Comics Podcast Network.
Bitch.
Print it. Welcome to episode 196 of Comic Timing, a comics podcast devoted to the average comic book fan from the average comic book fan. Join in as Brett Cassina, rotating panel of guests, and myself, Ian Levesine, discuss whatever comes to mind, time after time, here on Comic Timing. Hey, it's Marvel movie season again. Hey, Captain Marvel came out. Hey, we all saw it. Hey, let's talk about it.
Hey.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh. Here now, Comic Timing. Hey there, folks. My name's Ian Levesine, and welcome to episode 196 of Comic Timing. We got a round table going here. Raph, what's up?
It's not that round.
Square table?
Yeah, okay.
There are round things on it.
That's true.
That's
There's a
fair.
bowl with the same chips we had last episode.
Uh-huh.
And a plate that wasn't here last time.
Yeah, Chris is here again, as if you couldn't tell.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Chris Naudis.
Hi.
Sometimes I have like a real job where I do like real things, and then
other times you're on this podcast.
I'm slumming with you guys.
Lovely.
And then my mom listens to it. So you get like one more listener every time I'm on the show.
There you go.
I'm proud of that. I am beyond proud of that, actually. And hey, Cassina's back. Hey, Brent.
Hey.
Yo.
It's a Brent and Ian show.
Oh.
It's the Brent and Ian show.
Yeah.
Starring them,
Never
Brent
been
and Ian.
Well, we've had like at least like 5 or 6 episodes where it's just been the two of us.
You can make it if you
always
try.
have to have a third or fourth.
You are wrong. That is not always true. It's just sometimes.
Then why'd you join Comic Geek Speak all the time instead of podcasting more with me?
Because they needed a
internal
producer,
drama.
and I've been helping them out, and I enjoy helping people out. So that's what I'm doing. By the way, if you want to listen to me on Comic Geek Speak, go ahead and go to comicgeekspeak.com.
Look, it's brand building.
Yeah.
Every millennial has to brand build.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Raph is building his brand.
Yeah.
I'm building my brand. Ian's building his brand. And then there's Brent.
Brent has a brand. It's
Brent has his videos.
Yeah,
Brent's a YouTuber.
BK's Bullets over at YouTube. Check it out. And actually, I listened to your Reign of the Superman and Death of Superman episode that you put out on the Comic Timing feed, and that was actually really good.
Hooray.
Hooray!
So glad you guys know I have videos, but I never see comments from you guys.
Oh, I don't comment on YouTube because I don't like looking at comments.
Yeah,
'cause they get nasty.
I don't look at the comments, but
Yeah, but there are no comments on mine, so they're definitely
Well, okay,
not.
then I'll start commenting.
Well, I can't watch videos on YouTube because then it's just going to recommend some Richard C. Meyer crap.
Oh God.
no.
I hope my videos don't do that.
No, I hope not too, man. Most of the time, YouTube just gives me suggestions for things that I'm already watching. 'Cause
Dogs.
It's next time. It's not, yes, dogs.
Dogs.
Lots of dogs.
Dogs.
That is always true. Yeah. So we all saw Captain Marvel. We were all pretty okay with it, except for Brent. So that's gonna be fun. You know what? I think I'm just going to start off with Brent, and he can tell us how much he did not enjoy it, and then we can
You're
just
really
roll
mean.
in.
You know that,
I
right?
know.
I mean, let me just say, before
Yeah.
Brent starts talking, I didn't love the movie.
No, I know.
Okay, Brent, you go.
Okay, yeah.
Brent, you go. Brent called it on Facebook worse than Thor: The Dark World, which I cannot co-sign.
Hold on. Where is Thor: The Dark World ranked for you, Brent? Let's just
It's last.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Let's establish that it is the worst Marvel movie in Captain Marvel's the worst Marvel movie in your mind. Brent.
and let's
just
go
with that.
Was last, because now apparently Captain Marvel is below it. But
Yeah. Okay. Now we've established that, so you can go ahead.
yeah. So what made it that for you, man?
I just thought it was like, I mean, even Thor: The Dark World has its charms. There's humor that makes me laugh. I guess there was some humor in this movie, but I didn't laugh. Like, so I watched the trailers and stuff, and I was like, okay, no trailer got me hyped or pumped up or excited to see the movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch a bunch of TV spots or anything like that, so I just watched the main stuff, teaser, trailer 1, trailer 2, and that's it. But when I watched those trailers, and that's just going off the trailers, I wasn't like, oh man, I can't wait for this movie, or oh, I'm excited to see this movie,
Right.
like the way I am with Shazam coming out in like 3 weeks or whatever. And
You mean the other Captain Marvel movie?
yeah, the other Captain Marvel movie that's coming out this year. That's not confusing at all. And I don't know. I just thought like I thought it was kind of weird in the trailers that they were hiding Brie Larson's performance.
Mm-hmm.
Like you didn't get to see her speak any lines at all in the trailers. Like there's no mouth movement of hers that matches the sound that's being played in the trailer. So I thought that was a little unusual. So I go into this movie and I've read a couple reviews or watched a video review or two of them, not from any like biased sources. You know, I'm not reading the freaking incels that are all up in arms calling people libtards or nothing like that.
Yeah.
Just mainstream reviews.
None of the Rotten Tomato review bombs.
Nothing that.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. So I went in with lowered expectations, thinking this was just going to be an okay movie, you
Right.
know. And Thor: The Dark World does rank last for me, but it's still better than a lot of. Like, if you gave me a choice between rewatching Thor: The Dark World and rewatching Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, and I'm a Tenacious D fan, I'd pick Thor: The Dark World because there are some movies that are worse than that by far, definitely.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting in this movie, and my wife and I, you know, we got a babysitter, we went to dinner beforehand, like it was a whole thing.
That's nice.
And we're sitting in this movie, and Mandy leans over to me in the middle of the beginning, and it's like, "Oh, you didn't tell me this was a space movie." She does not like Star Wars. She does not like space movies, but she does like Guardians. So I don't know how that like rectifies with each other.
Yeah.
But then we're watching it, and I'm like, okay, this is okay. And then she keeps leaning over to me and going, where's this movie going? And then I really start to think about it as I'm watching the movie. I'm like, that's a great question. Where is this movie going? Because I know it's set in the past. I told her the same thing. Like, I gave her a little briefing beforehand of what I knew so that she wouldn't be like totally blind or whatever.
Yeah.
But there just was nothing in the movie that grabbed me or made me emotional. There was a lot of stuff I did not like, specifically with what they did with Fury, towards the end especially, and her code name, what the fuck, and you know, all things we can get into later.
Yeah.
But just in general, I thought Brie Larson, Oscar winner of Room, which I did not see, so I don't know if that's good or bad or not. But
It is good.
I was not like charmed by her performance or enraptured or enthralled. I thought her likability factor was down, and I would almost call her wooden and
Okay.
boring. So, and I know that the character, like the whole thing about this movie is, oh my God, you know, there's the guy on the motorcycle. It's like the woman does not have to smile for the man. So I'm not saying like she wasn't likable because she wasn't smiling. She wasn't likable because she was a blank canvas who had no memory and was boring.
There's also
anyway.
plenty of moments in this movie where she does smile, so it's not like she's not smiling in the movie.
No, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but there's plenty of moments where I was like, okay, I could really do with something else here to interject with. And by the time, like, I did like the main twist of the movie. You know, I guess we're going into spoilers. If you haven't watched the movie, don't listen to this. We're going into spoilers.
No, please. Anybody who listens to a comic timing knows that we're going to spoil the hell out of the movie
All right.
when we review it.
So
So, yeah.
Carol
I
Danvers
thought
is
the
Captain
main
Marvel.
twist.
Yeah.
The main twist with the Skrulls was interesting, where they're not the enemies after all. But then again, I was like, oh well, shit. If you're gonna make this group of Skrulls a bunch of pussies, then how the hell are you ever gonna set up Secret Invasion?
Yeah, see, I have thoughts
yeah.
about that are very different than
Whoa,
yours.
I'm taking
So-
offense to the word pussies right there. Just because they don't want to fight?
Okay, sorry. Jeez, let me step on my own dick again. But, you know,
If you're going to make them non-combative, there's a friendlier term.
Yeah,
there.
non-combative, right.
okay, so then you have a movie where not only have you marketed the villains as the Skrulls, who turn out, in fact, not to be villains in the middle of the movie, which I thought was interesting. But then again, you have Jude Law come in as now all of a sudden he's the main villain, and he wasn't very like menacing, villainous. It was just like one of the weakest villains they've had, you know, since Thor: The Dark World. Like, I would put Jan Rog up there with Malekith. And the fact they didn't call him Jan Rog until the middle of the movie when you find out he's the real villain, so to speak.
Well, it's part of the swerve, you know? I mean, you're supposed to be thinking all movie that he's Marvel.
Unfortunately, they got spoiled beforehand.
Oh, really?
Like, people were posting, like, oh, we now know who Jude Law is playing in the movie.
God damn
Yeah,
it.
I remember that.
I didn't
care.
actually see any.
Yeah,
I saw it. I didn't
Yeah.
care.
I was hoping that was misdirection because I thought, yeah, Jude Law playing Marvel would be a really great casting decision.
Right.
But there's something to say that, like, didn't we learn that from Star Trek Into Darkness, where going into the movie thinking your hardcore audience is thinking that this is somebody and then they're not. You know, we're going in the movie supposedly thinking he's Mar-Vell, but he's not, the same way that Into Darkness, we're supposed to be thinking he's not Khan, he's not Khan, he's not Khan, and then surprise, he's Khan. Like, it's a fake surprise.
Oh, I never thought he wasn't Khan, dude. Like,
Oh yeah.
I know,
they
but that's what
lied
they
to
were
our face
pushing.
about that.
Yeah.
In that particular movie, that's what they're
Blunderbuss
pushing the
coriander.
whole time.
yeah.
So, and then you get to the final fight scene, and like, you know, like, not the final fight scene, but like her and not Monica, Maria Rambeau.
Yeah.
Like, that whole thing seemed really contrived. Like, just, this was the Green Lantern movie told piece by piece, but like backwards almost.
Oof.
Where the beginning was the middle and the middle was the beginning. Like, we've seen this movie before, and I like the Green Lantern movie. This had none of the parts that I liked about the Green Lantern movie. You know, so that was really disappointing. And just like, I don't know, the whole Maria Rambeau thing's like, she's supposed to be your best friend, but there's something more there. And like, I don't know if she's best friends or lovers. And I was like, can we just make them lovers already? Like, fucking A, like, let's get it on.
I had this discussion before we actually recorded, where I point out it's the 90s. Don't ask, don't tell.
Right.
So they could be
true.
totally gay for each other, and they can't actually
can't
show
say
it.
anything
so
about it.
our
Yeah.
ultimate verdict on that, we'll have to wait for when Carol comes back, and if she revisits Maria, who, mind you, will be older than her at that point. We'll see what
But-
Marvel decides to do at that point.
Yeah.
I guess this is like, we're making this movie in 2019, 2018, whenever this was shot, and we're past that. So to actually make them lovers and have that in the Marvel movie, which would be, I think, bigger than, this is the first female Marvel movie, would be bigger than that, and then you could have the commentary on the don't ask, don't tell part of it as well.
Right.
But that would be too deep for a Marvel movie to go, so I don't think they would ever do that. They barely touched on U.S. race relations at all in Black Panther. You know, you had Killmonger mention it a little bit, but they were like, we're going to stay totally away from that. So then you get to the last bit of the movie, and then you have like, I'm like, where the fuck is Ronan the Accuser? I saw still shots of him walking with the Star Force through a hangar, and then he's relegated to a computer monitor or hologram the whole time till the very end of the movie, and he doesn't get to do anything. Like, poor Lee Pace thought he was going to get to come back for a movie, and then like, it's like, nah, fuck you.
I don't really think he thought he was coming back for anything more than what was essentially a cameo.
I'm just speculating here.
felt
I
like-
was excited. I was like, okay, let me see more of Clark Gregg Coulson. I miss him. Don't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He barely got used. That's fine. He's probably shooting S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
But Lee Pace ain't doing anything. So why wasn't Ronan the Accuser the main villain a second time and done better, I guess?
Well, one, because you know they're not going to kill him because
Right.
he doesn't die till later on. I really hope that whatever time travel shenanigans come up with Endgame somehow undoes a lot of deaths, including
yeah.
Ronan the Accuser.
Well, and we also
nice.
we also had what's his face from Guardians of the Galaxy here too.
Korath, the Pursuer.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Korath the
yeah.
Pursuer. Who? Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was like, wait, that's Jimon Hanso's in this?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Yep.
But it was
he
nice.
got used way more than Ronan, so that was cool with me. But
Yeah.
you have all these other characters that you never get an introduction to of the squad. Like they treat. I know these are lower tier characters than the Howling Commandos.
Yeah.
But these guys got as much introduction and nuance as the Howling Commandos did with Captain America, which was that part of, was like disappointing as well. So then the final fight's like her battling a bunch of ships and not doing a whole lot. And like as far as the power blast coming from her fist, I was never like, whoa, that's really powerful. Like there's something there, just like concussion blasts at one point, doing the same stuff Cyclops does in the movies. Like you're not cutting anybody in half, you're just knocking them into walls because it's PG-13. It's just, and then the whole ending was just like, by that time I was just like, oh man, they're pushing this thing way too far in terms of like, I know the whole point of this movie basically is to set her up as the person who's going to take on Thanos and come save the fucking day for Avengers Endgame. That's fine. I get that. But then to retrace everything and like Fury loses his eye to a cat scratch.
Yeah, that was
lame.
bullshit.
That was lame.
That was bullshit, and I will agree with you with that.
Lame. And then the whole very end before they cut to the credits was like, we're going to show her flashing back through her memories and, oh, this girl stands up again and again and again and again. I was like, geez, could you ham fist this down our throats anymore? Like, I'm all about the message. That's fine with me. But to me, I'm like, Marvel, this needs to be something more than about that, because you missed your moment. Wonder Woman took your moment 2 years ago. They ran with it. They did a great job. By all accounts, that movie's fantastic. Everybody loved it. And even the incels didn't find anything to get mad about with that movie. Somehow, they found something to get mad about with this movie, and you're ham-fisting this woman power stuff down our throats. It's like, that would have been fine if you had beat Wonder Woman to the punch, I think. But to me, tone it down a little, because you missed the mark. You missed your window. You missed your time frame. You're second to the plate. You're not first. And then the whole Avenger thing, I was like, fuck it. Just fuck this movie.
I didn't mind
So, I don't know. Like, I guess I had my wife whispering in my ear, like, where's this movie going? And then I started to analyze it mid-movie, which you never really want to do. So, we'll take a couple points off my hatred. And I don't have a hatred for this movie. I just really disliked it. I was really disappointed by it. So I guess you can put a couple points of that aside.
Right.
Then you have the contrived lady power stuff, which for me I'm totally fine with, but you missed the mark. You missed the window. So we'll put that aside. Then you have the Fury and the Avenger stuff, which is like that to me was just like, man, they really were trying to find a way to make this movie relevant other than it's an introduction for Captain Marvel, who's a really cool character normally. And they couldn't figure out a way to do it. They wanted to use the Skrulls, but then they took that. They took their own legs out with that.
So
they could have made a really interesting spy movie with this.
I really don't think they took their legs out with the Skrulls, but I can touch on that more when I'm talking about it.
They basically made the Kree the bad guys, which I'm fine with, because both the Kree and the Skrulls are adversarial in the comics.
Sure.
It's really only the Shi'ar who aren't completely bad.
Right.
But
and they can't touch. They really can't touch the Shi'ar until everything goes down with Fox.
Well, it's already interesting that we had the Skrulls in this, considering the Skrulls are usually associated with the Fantastic Four.
Yep.
Right. Exactly.
So there's a wiggly space in there.
I think the only Skrull that is officially off the table until the Fox merger is Super Skrull.
Yeah, well, it doesn't work without the characters.
And Captain America's already been Super Skrull.
Right.
Because he had that moment in Fantastic Four too.
You're allowed to flick him for that one.
Flick.
It's just a really weird movie that I think it felt like they, at the end of the day, they didn't have much to say that was new. And I thought maybe the 90s stuff would be refreshing. And then I was fine because I'm a 90s kid. But then you have the whole sequence at the end where they start playing I'm Just a Girl to the fight scene, which, great song, love the song, but it didn't match the fight scene. Like,
I actually agree with that.
You
wasn't
didn't choreograph or cut to the song.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to use a song to really hammer something home, like the Punisher trailer for the first season fucking did it with Metallica with One, about the battle and stuff like that. Like, go watch that first season Punisher trailer from Netflix, cut to One. It's fucking amazing. If you're going to choose I'm Just a Girl to hammer something home or make a statement, like, at least make it cut to the thing. I don't think it works like they thought it would, just because, like, the whole weird of I'm Just a Girl, it's a great song, but that whole, like, wah-wah guitar, the effects they have on it is just a little weird, and it's too distracting, I guess I would say. The whole guitar tone, like, it's a great riff, the do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do-do, but you have, like, this reverb wah stuff pedal that guy's that it's not Tony, he's the bass player, but that guy's using.
Yeah.
That's so distracting and so distinguishable from other stuff. I think it just distracted from the fight scene. So at the end of the day, this is a movie I had lowered expectations for, and then by the time I got to the end of it, I figured this movie thought it had something to say, but at the end I felt like it was grasping at straws to find relevance somewhere in the Marvel Universe. And instead of finding something new or original to say with Captain Marvel, being second at bat with the feminism thing or woman superhero movie thing didn't help them. And then they added in the contrivances of making this relevant with Fury's eye, her code name, and then Tesseract showing up at the very end. I was like, okay, yeah, we've seen this movie a trillion times.
All right. Chris.
Yeah, that was a lot. I mean, I didn't love the movie. I think the Just a Girl thing did bother me. No, I think the song is fine for the scene, but the editor did not. It needs to be cut precisely to the beat for like any song to work.
Sure.
Like a good example of music working perfectly with an action sequence is Shaun of the Dead. When they're in the bar and it's Stop Me Now, Queens, and they're hitting the zombies in time with the music.
Yep.
Yes.
Hit Girl in Kick-Ass, her first appearance, that was perfect.
Yeah.
The Bananarama song,
Yes.
that was perfect.
That was really good.
But yeah, you want that rhythm. That's an editing problem, though. Like, I don't think putting the song in was bad. Most of the time, I think the music was fine. Occasionally, it felt forced. Like, I mean, I would say forced, but it was too obvious. Like when they're driving down the highway and they're playing freaking waterfalls. And honestly, the 90s references were so thick and heavy, it became distracting after a while. Because then I was looking
Yes.
for anachronisms, and there were
Agreed.
anachronisms. The Stan Lee cameo was an anachronism, and it drove me nuts because it was otherwise a great idea.
Yeah, like it made Kevin Smith cry, but at the same time, yeah, if it's 1995, he would have already been filming Mallrats, and
It was
probably would have
released
already
in
been
95.
filmed.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was released in 95.
Yeah,
So.
because you mentioned the melancholy and the
Yeah, no, that was like, when she's up against the wall and it's all ads for Smashing Pumpkins Melancholy. I'm like, wow, that's some really obvious product placement. It's not even subtle at that point.
yeah.
Whenever it's not subtle, it was very distracting. Like, I get you want to throw 90s jokes and you want to remind people that this is taking place. Mind you, I don't even remember them saying what year it was in the movie. You just kind of have to guess from the references, I
Yeah.
feel like.
They don't, like, it just says C-53 and that's it. And it's like,
I think
can we
there
be
was-
more specific what year it is? Star
I think
date? Anything?
One reference to 1995. I think that's how we know it's 1995. I think they say it in the middle of the movie.
Well, they said
Yeah.
she's been gone 6 years. So I
and it was
think they...
1989 that
Yeah,
she
so
disappeared.
it's
Yeah.
simple
Exactly.
math, basically. It's
Right.
like figuring out when Harry Potter takes place.
Yeah, well, Harry Potter started out in what? Was it 89 that it started out? Or
91 to 97.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, Harry's
Harry's
rough-
my age.
Yeah, rough around our age.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't say it was contrived, really. Like, I think the fact is that we're saying, okay, they're second the bat, but that's still number 2. It's not number 3 or 5 or 37. We're still
Right, but you had so many moments where they were like trying to do something, trying to be something with that whole theme. Whereas if I feel like if they had just made it a regular female superhero movie or female centered movie instead of being like, "Hey, we're a female movie."
What makes
it
it?
would've
What
been a
makes
lot
it?
better.
What is regular to you? That's what I'm wondering. Like what
Yeah, I mean, if it is the second movie, there is no precedent for this movie.
exactly?
That's the
There's
other thing.
Terminator 2, like when she's a badass. Any of the Alien movies, like those are all female centric movies, that are action films. I mean, that's a lot of it's James Cameron's doing, but they're
I don't think
they're
those
not
are good.
yelling, "Hey, I'm a female."
Actually,
this is
they
my
are.
Movie.
They kind of are.
Yeah.
Get away from her, you bitch, is literally 2 mothers fighting over a child.
That's true.
That entire both of those movies, because Sarah Connor is fighting for her child. Both of those movies are about mothers fighting. I mean, maybe you don't like see it as a feminist movie because they're not specifically saying like, oh, I have to stand up against the men and blah blah blah. Though in Aliens, she actually kind of does.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
expect her
Yes.
to be kind of a wuss, but she's not, and that's why Hicks totally has a boner for her by the end of the film.
Right.
Yep.
Damn, Alien 3 completely ruined the best ship.
I know. Well, Alien 3 ruined a lot. Period.
But my thing is, like, I don't mind if they want to be rah, rah, rah. Like, it's not something I'm into. I mean, I honestly don't, like, that's not my thing. I'm not going to say other people can't derive pleasure from it. But the thing is, like, yeah, this is only the second movie. And the thing is, you can't have a woman existing without the fact that she is facing these challenges that the white men aren't going to face. It's the same with Black Panther.
Right.
They're not going to make a Black Panther movie where they're not going to at least acknowledge some kind of racial relations thing.
Sure.
And they can't really make a Captain Marvel movie where they don't acknowledge the fact that, yeah, like, she's a woman in the military. I mean, she's lucky that her life has been as good as it is. You look at other women in the military and it's a lot rougher for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we mentioned, the thing that she may or may not have some weird thing going on with Maria. They can't really openly talk about it. And honestly, if they had decided to just make them a lesbian couple in this movie, the outrage would have even been greater.
That's true.
And I like the thing about Wonder Woman.
They also probably wouldn't have been able to get it through in China, to be honest.
Yeah, that's just it. They're not going to. People have been saying they're not going to put gay characters on the screen because of fucking China.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not your fault, Raph. You
Yes,
didn't.
that's true.
Yeah.
I'm not Chinese.
I mean, the thing is, there's
from China.
It's still a different perspective from Wonder Woman because Wonder Woman, she does not have anything like internalized misogyny. 'Cause she's raised on an island where everyone's a woman. She's never told she's less because of her gender because there's no other gender for her to compare herself
Right.
against. Meanwhile, Carol's upbringing is completely different. She's been constantly told that she is less than, and like that's. And yes, I know it was a little heavy-handed when they're like, "Look, she keeps getting back up." But I think the point is they say people are always putting her down, which honestly is true to her comic incarnation.
Yeah.
I'm not a Carol Danvers fan, but I've always wanted better for Carol because Marvel Comics has treated her so badly over the decades.
Yes.
Between so I got to remember this in order. Yeah, the whole becoming pregnant with the alien baby who then grows up and wants to marry her and leaves with her. Basically,
fuck's
and it's
sake.
mind control, so it's essentially rape.
Yeah.
And then when she comes back, that's when she's attacked by Rogue and has her memories and powers stolen by Rogue.
Yep.
And remember that first appearance with Rogue is, of course, when she confronts the Avengers and she's just going off on them about it. And she's always been kind of relegated to the back. She kept getting different names, and then they finally put her back in the Avengers. And what do they do? Well, we're going to make her a drunk because her life's been so shitty.
I actually really enjoyed that arc.
I
no
think
joke.
it's perfectly reasonable
Yeah.
for someone whose life has been that bad to end up as
Yeah,
a
the
drunk.
Music
Yes.
Paris
But
stuff. Yeah.
it wasn't until House of M, after House of M, where Carol was like, oh my God, in the House of M universe, I was like this top tier, amazing superhero.
Yep.
There's no reason why I can't do that now. And
Yeah.
that's what started this current trend. And,
Sure.
And again, I'm not a Carol Danvers fan as like a superhero, but I'm like, Marvel needed to do better by her.
Yeah.
Especially with someone that shares their freaking company name.
Yes, her time as Warbird, the Jeff Johns stuff, actually, the Avengers Jeff Johns stuff, was,
Yeah, right after
was right after that, and I think that Warbird then led her to Captain Marvel, but her entire Ms. Marvel series in the early 2000s that Brian Reed did
Yep.
was exceptional. I actually really enjoyed that.
I own most of it.
So do I, yeah. But then we got to Captain Marvel with Kelly Sue DeConnick, and that really defined the character and got her out of the fucking, Speedo that she was in for years.
I honestly really like that outfit. It's a very well designed outfit. It's better than the original one she had in the 70s.
The red one?
that's
yeah,
true.
I
Yeah,
didn't like
but
the
the
red
black
one.
outfit is really nice when you get a
Yeah.
good artist on her.
Yeah.
Even Frank Cho is like she looks amazing when he draws, especially Frank Cho.
The new outfit though, it defines her. It really does.
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
the new trend in female outfits in comics in general.
Yes.
Is like more streetwear friendly clothes.
Designed by Jamie McKelvey.
Yes.
Well, because most of the artists now have actual training in fashion, or they actually care about fashion.
Yeah.
Which is I'm kind of appreciate. Like, as you look
Yeah.
at old comics, everybody dresses like shit.
They
in
do.
old comics.
They really do.
I know we're getting a little
You put
off track.
JMS on Wonder Woman, put pants in a halter top and a leather
Jesus.
jacket on her, and
Oh,
my
yeah.
God, everybody loses their minds.
Jackets.
Oh, yes,
That is the most
yes,
nostalgic
yes.
thing about this movie. She puts on the jacket. I laughed in the theater. I was
Yeah.
like, that is the most 90s jokes in this goddamn movie.
Yeah. No,
Take off
I
your flannel.
yeah, right? No, but when going for the jacket, I immediately thought of Rogue like you did,
Yeah, well, Rogue, and I posted it on Twitter. It's the Avengers issue with Sarah C. and her fist is in the air, and like Black Knight and Crystal are kind of at her feet, but they're also wearing the jackets.
Yeah, the
Like,
Avengers jackets. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't make any goddamn sense, but to be honest, I kind of like the way it looked.
Yeah, those brown jackets from like the early '90s. I remember those.
All right, I want to cut in and then Raph.
We
I'll
should
go
get
to
back
you.
on topic.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's fine. We're still essentially talking.
We're talking about the movie.
by
Talking about
saying this.
jackets.
So I enjoyed
Pouches.
it. Probably the most out of everybody here. I more than likely enjoyed it. Although Raph, I know you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah,
but
well, I'll get to it. Don't worry about
yeah.
it.
To me, this is the Rogue One of the Marvel universe. This is the
What?
one.
Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie that's come out so far.
Mr. Casina, please let me continue speaking. Thank you very much. In the way that without Rogue One, you still have the Star Wars universe. You still can watch them, and things, questions are that are filled in Rogue One. You're not even thinking about until Rogue One happened. This is what they tried to do with Captain Marvel. They tried to fill in the gaps.
I feel like it's on par with Thor in that aspect, because as Screen Junkies pointed out, Thor, the movie that exists, so you know who that other guy in the Avengers is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And they did try to fill in some things Nick Fury, first getting involved with superheroes. How Captain Marvel will fit in, like you just mentioned. The Tesseract and all that jazz.
That was a little funky because I'm like, I didn't really need to know how. Actually, I'm really confused by it.
What
Explain.
part?
So, yeah. We see how Howard Stark actually found the Tesseract in the ocean after Cap crashed.
Yes.
He picked it up with the robot, which
Right.
means it was in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. Mm-hmm. But then in Captain Marvel, it's apparently like the Air Force program.
Project Pegasus, which is also controlled by S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and they have
That's
the
true.
Tesseract, and then it ends up back with like it was a completely unnecessary diversion. Like it went for a walk and then came back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. But technically, because keep in mind in Avengers, the first Avengers movie, Project Pegasus is the thing that Loki blows up.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Project Pegasus.
That's a good
Okay,
point.
so that's
Same
the only
building.
reason we would
That's
know.
the connection.
Yeah.
Marvel technically stole the Tesseract from Project Pegasus
Yeah.
to build the warp ship so that she could save the Skrulls.
Yeah.
That's the plot point.
Okay.
She stole the Tesseract away from S.H.I.E.L.D. And Nick wouldn't know about it because he wasn't high enough clearance yet.
Right.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
Okay.
that's the connection. I'm such a Marvel. Yeah,
It's also
yeah.
a very weird diversion.
It is.
Such a
It is.
neatly
Yeah.
plot point.
You don't need that to happen.
Right.
That would have been like if Rogue One was about like the Empire like losing the Death Star plans and someone picking them up and it's somehow getting to the Rebel hands as opposed to the Rebel scientists. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah, no, I get
it. Made sense in Rogue One. It not quite as much in Captain Marvel.
Right. No, and I understand that.
Yeah.
I enjoy this movie for the character of Captain Marvel. I actually really enjoyed Brie Larson's acting portrayal in general. I think she was strong. I think she did actually carry herself really well. And the interaction between her and Sam Jackson was actually really
That was
great.
the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was the two of them. Oh, well, no, the second best part. The best part was Nick reacting to the cat.
I thought the best part was the de-aging on Sam. Like, it
That
was
was
freaky
incredible.
how well
Well,
they
so-
did that.
So did they de-age him at all?
Yes, they did.
Or did they just do a shitty job on Coulson to make it look like that was so good? Because when Coulson shows up at the end and hands him the case of eyes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at Coulson, and Coulson looks rubbery the same way Michael Douglas did
Yeah, they haven't mastered
in
that yet.
Ant-Man. And then they go back to Sam Jackson, and I'm like, maybe they just put a wig on him?
No, they definitely de-aged him, but the thing is, my problem with it is obviously some of the effects were very cut rate.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not the special effects house's fault because they are being underpaid.
Yeah.
That's why the effects in I'm going to say it, Black Panther look terrible.
That's true.
They
Yeah.
are ugly as shit.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think
the shot of her outside when she first powers up
It
in
was
space
bad.
at the end
I
was
agree.
really rubbery bad too.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
bad when she's flying through the ship and she's blowing it. Like that looked very rubbery. And I mean, I was bothered more. I decided to ignore that because now I understand like the circumstances behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I was bothered by Sam Jackson though because the thing is, there's no excuse for that because we have such a vast record of what Sam Jackson looked like.
Yes.
In the 90s.
Yes.
You're right. Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Well, I'm thinking
Pulp
Pulp Fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he had a quite robust over. the 90s.
Unbreakable. Well, maybe not.
No, that was
Unbreakable.
Hard 3.
2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, Die Hard 3.
Die Hard 3.
Yeah.
Black Snake Moan.
Black Snake Moan
Shaft.
wasn't
Last,
that was
Shaft.
Shaft was
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah.
There was Long Kiss Goodnight, which I think was 97, maybe 96, 97.
Oh, and even earlier than that. I mean, mind you, it was for 3 seconds, but in the 80s, he was in.
he's in Coming to America,
Coming to
as
America.
the
Do the right
robber.
thing.
Yeah,
Do the
no.
right thing. Yeah.
Like-
Sam Jackson's been in every movie. We know.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking specifically about the 90s
Yeah.
and like after his career took off because of Pulp Fiction. We know exactly what it looks like. There's so many things to model it on.
Right.
When they do Michael Douglas and stuff, they actually go back and pull his old films and they look and I
they
felt
composite,
like
yeah.
and I felt like they didn't make enough of an effort. Sam Jackson, they just made him look young, like a young guy, but not like young Sam Jackson.
Right, because there's 900,000 movies with his picture in it.
I personally enjoyed it and didn't even really notice it in the movie. Like that
It's
was
not. There's no. I didn't have an uncanny valley problem with
Yeah.
it. It's just more like as someone who was alive in the '90s
No, that's
and
fair.
knows what Sam Jackson
fair.
is supposed to look like
Right.
in
Yeah.
1995. It was annoying.
Yeah.
I mean that in general is why the anachronisms bother me because I'm
Right.
like I know what year this is.
Yeah.
Most of the people watching this movie were alive.
Yeah, we were. All four of us were.
I also felt like the 90s references didn't hit it over the head for me, but had there been like 2 or 3 more, it would have. Like they were right on the line, and I can understand why it would feel that way for you and for others if it did hit you over the head because I was that close. I was on the
That
borderline.
actually feels like pandering to me. Like
Yeah.
people like, oh, I get that joke, and I'm like,
Right.
I don't. need that as much. I prefer when it is more subtle.
Yeah, Guardians in the 80s was a lot more subtle. That much I'll give you.
Yeah, I mean, they make a lot of jokes about it, but the thing is, the fact that Peter is such a fucking dumbass
Yes.
about, like, it's the Flashdance, it's the great, no, not Flashdance, Footloose, it's the
Yeah.
greatest movie ever. No, it's not.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah,
little bit
that
of
was
dialogue.
good.
It's great.
Have you guys seen the ancient movie Aliens?
But with the Skrulls specifically, I actually really enjoyed that swerve, and it didn't ruin the Skrulls for future appearances with Marvel because it establishes in this that they are at war. And one thing we know as well as anything is that there are people who are on, extreme sides of a war, and then there are others that are just
A lot of
part
people
the war.
don't like peace, which
Exactly.
is actually the theme of this week's Orville,
Well, there we go. I'll have
which,
to, I'll
of
have
course,
to-
is basically a remake of another TNG episode.
yeah.
The line must be drawn here.
Not that one.
No,
That's First Contact.
these were just innocent combatants more than anything else.
Non-combatants.
Non-combatants,
Civilians.
along with one soldier who didn't really want to be there in the first
Well,
place.
it's because it's hurting his family. Like,
Exactly.
Okay, I wanted to say that. So yeah, like, I didn't mind Brie Larson, but I didn't really feel invested in her, and I don't really fault her with that. But what I noticed is very interesting was that my audience seemed more invested in Talos. Talos or Talos?
I think Telos.
Yeah, than they were in Captain Marvel, because when Talos gets shot, my audience lost their shit. They were like, "Ah!" Like half
Yeah.
the people screamed in the theater, and I'm like, you know what? It's because Ben Mendelsohn did such a good job of making him so sympathetic and interesting, and, like, mind you, he had some of the best jokes.
Yeah.
You did.
Like, he's my favorite character in this movie. And mind you, again, I didn't mind Carol. I really liked Maria.
Yeah.
Monica is a great little kid.
Right.
Like, that seems to be a new Marvel tradition, is just, like, these smart-ass, awesome little kids.
Yeah.
Because-
It's also
Young
funny that
Avengers, man. Young Avengers.
It's also funny that I brought up Ben Mendelsohn and Rogue One, considering Ben Mendelsohn was
He
in
is.
Rogue One.
He is, yeah. Yeah, that's why I recognize him. I was like, why do I know this actor? This
Yeah.
voice is driving me nuts. I'm so familiar
Plus,
with it.
he was in something else that I saw somewhat recently. Ready Player One.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, he played the villain in Ready Player One.
Yeah, so it was nice to give him a little something else to do.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, I did want to mention with Monica, I love the little speech she gives her mom.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, wait. Your job was always dangerous, and now you're deciding it's too
Yeah.
dangerous. I love that, because
Right.
I do like, you're right about the Young Avengers. I feel
Yeah.
like they're actually building these characters up.
Yeah.
Like Cassie and Monica and
And
maybe...
Shuri and
Oh, we could
And Peter.
easily
Yeah, and Peter.
have a young Avengers team, happen within the next 4 or 5
Well,
years.
honestly, I mean, it's okay that they didn't do it this time, but originally, when Captain Marvel was supposed to be scheduled for, like, last year or the year before, I was really hoping one of the two buttons was going to be Kamala.
yes,
Like, if Carol had made her big debut and she's on the news, and just have, like, a shot of a little Muslim girl pasting the poster on her wall.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I needed. because
although if she does that, Kamala would be 36. She'd be yeah.
Yeah, well,
That's
no,
20
this was
years
before
ago.
they announced it was in the
Yeah,
90s,
yeah,
Raph.
yeah.
Raph, stop being a pedant.
No, I'm just saying. I'm hoping they do Kamala
they
next
can
time.
they can introduce her, in this era pretty easily. And I know you mentioned the Skrulls in passing, Brent, but, like, do you have a problem with them being sympathetic? I mean, do you see them changing that down the line? Like, what do you think?
I just think it's going to be difficult for audiences to see this movie, and a lot of them are singing this movie.
Yeah.
And, you have the whole thing of Skrulls are not bad. And then 2 or 3 movies later, you're going to have Skrulls are bad. We promise this time. And,
If they actually do that.
Yeah.
well,
I mean, look at how
Yeah,
many
that's-
X-Men movies we've had, and we've never had the Shi'ar.
That's
That's
true.
We're at like 9 or 10 movies deep in X-Men.
Yep. Well,
Right.
I was totally expecting that from Dark Phoenix, and from the looks of things, it's not going to
It's
happen.
a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's
it is.
part of, I don't know, it's part of why I like the story, honestly. X-Men space stories are actually really good.
Oh, I
Yeah.
guarantee you that if they do wind up rebooting the X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we're getting the Shi'ar, like, almost right off the bat. Like,
Oh,
it would not
And the
surprise
Brood.
me. And the Brood.
Their alien ripoff.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, it is, and also, I mean, that's how Binary happened in the first place. That was a Brood story.
Yeah, no,
Oh.
Carol was like the hobo of the Marvel Universe for
Yes.
the longest time.
Yeah, but all in all, Carol took me as a character that was as strong as they were trying to make her, and to me, it wasn't pandering with the keep getting up. Like that scene actually worked for me probably the best out of the entire.
I mean,
damn
we can
movie.
talk about the actual big. I mean, yes, there's the part where she's blowing up the warheads, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. But the emotional climax is, of course, when she's facing off against what's his name, Jan Rog.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jan Rog.
And he is basically doing the equivalent of debate me,
Yeah.
fight me. You've always been too emotional.
Yeah.
And that scene actually, like, I like that scene. My audience loved that scene
Yeah.
where she's just like, I don't have to prove anything to you.
Yeah.
And yes, that was a little heavy-handed, but I feel like that was. I mean, it just felt good. And yeah, it's weird to me that the movie was saying this before that backlash even came.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this movie, they totally knew they were going to get garbage for this movie.
And the Supreme
Yeah.
Intelligence moment too, actually, where she finally breaks the control ship and winds up becoming everything that
when
she can.
when she snaps it off, as a nerd, I was a little disappointed that the Supreme Intelligence wasn't a giant scary
A
blob.
giant blob of brains.
I know.
Yeah.
I thought for sure
Yeah,
when she was battling. I thought for sure when she was battling the Supreme Intelligence in her mind,
Uh-huh.
that when the walls came down, and that place started to collapse,
Mm-hmm.
that we were going to get the giant.
It would have
Jabba
been-
the Hutt in a tube.
It would have
Yeah.
been
That would've
cool.
Great.
It would have been
Because it would have been cool. Because what I liked, one of the things I liked is the fact that what do you think the Supreme Intelligence really looks like? Oh, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just see who you admire, I think is what
Yeah,
they said.
exactly.
So yeah, you're right, Brent. That would have been really cool. Is like she blasts the shit, and then there's this just giant blob because it would kind of like the things we're scared of aren't actually that scary.
Right.
Like that would have also been a good message for the movie put in. I understand they didn't want to do too much.
Sure.
Just like I really wish there was more, Ronan the Accuser, more Lee Pace. I don't think he had a problem. Like he even tweeted pictures of himself in the makeup. That's what I was looking up, like on my phone a
Yeah.
few minutes ago. I thought they didn't even get him back. I thought they just got him in an audio booth, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, he actually put makeup on for like
Yeah.
5 minutes of work.
Yep.
I mean, at least it was good to see Ronan the Accuser not pushing daisies.
You're fired.
I know.
Terrible.
I had a good run.
Shut
no, so my thoughts on the movie.
Hold on.
Yeah, that's fine.
What was it? The Flarkin?
The
Flerken.
The Forkin. Yes, the Forkin. Yeah.
That was an interesting swerve.
The cat / Flerken, Goose. I'm all for Goose. I'm 100% for Goose. It was a great. I love the character. I love the fucking character of a cat. But
the thing is, like, the movie kind of centered, like, why do people like cats? It was
Yes.
really good on that.
Mm-hmm.
I like the little touches, like, when they finally go up into space and the zero-G kicks in.
Yeah.
And, of course, Maria gets that big grin on her face, because you realize that's the first time she's ever been in zero-G.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like the movie could have made a little more out of that scene,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
like, I don't
Yeah.
think it was obvious to everyone that that's Maria's, like, oh, my God, I did this.
Right.
But then, like, Goose is floating through the air, and I like that Nick puts his arm up and Goose acts like a real cat.
Uh-huh.
That's exactly what cat is like, what the fuck is going on?
Yep.
Because we've all seen dogs in zero gravity. They fucking love it.
Well, yeah.
But cats are, like, not having it.
Yeah, because cats are more the fuck.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
they
I know
need
you
to
guys
take
were upset
control.
about the scratch. The funny thing about that is, like, I know it's like a cheap way for him to lose his eye, and I
Yeah.
agree with that. What bothered me more about it was the fact that, like, I wanted Nick to have a good relationship with Goose,
I
and I
know.
was like, that cat took your eye.
So-
You're never going to be able to pet that cat the same way again.
No.
Which makes the Winter Soldier speech about being betrayed like so much weirder.
I also want to
Got
know how long
betrayed
a
by
Flerken
cat.
lives.
That's a good question.
Well, it's technically not a cat. It's one of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. I
Right.
actually looked this up because I hadn't read that Marvel
That
arc.
was Captain Marvel when she was in space. With
Yeah,
the
he was named
Guardians.
Okay.
he was named Chewie and had laid a bunch of eggs.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All
So I
right.
really hope they go that way.
That's-
I want Nick to walk into his office and there's just a bunch of eggs in there.
I don't know who wrote that, but Bendis was writing her in Guardians, if I remember right.
I also assume that was Marvel's Flerken too. Like that would make the most sense if
It was, it makes sense because she had it at the base, and I
Oh
guess
no, she
Right.
said Goose doesn't like anyone, so but he really likes you. Like she
Yeah.
pointed that out, so she knew.
So, yeah,
Right.
I don't know if she was just like, oh shit, this Flerken was on my ship, I just have to deal with it, or if she brought the Flerken with her. We will
Yeah.
never know because
Exactly.
she is dead.
right, exactly.
It doesn't really matter. My bigger question is, why is there a pinball machine on the spaceship?
because pinball's awesome. Why? Because she wanted to be a pinball wizard.
I assume it's maybe to just entertain the kids
That's
or something.
exactly.
They
what-
had
was
Street
just-
Fighter, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They did have Street Fighter.
I do like the joke. It's like, well, if I had 6 years of playing only one pinball machine, it's just like that.
Yeah.
All right, Ralph, you've waited long enough. Go ahead.
So, I wrote a pretty glowing review on Facebook for it. In reality, since I've had a couple days to think about it. So here's the thing about Marvel. Bad Marvel movies, and we've talked about this before. So on a scale of 1 to 10, like, and 5 being average, most Marvel movies are above 5.
Okay.
99%. I think Thor: The Dark World, I would even give like a 5 or a 6, just because the Thor Loki interactions really make it.
Yeah, well, they finally reconciled in that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
At
There's
least
a
they
lot of
started to.
character growth in that movie.
Mew Mew.
Yeah, no, I know.
And
'cause
there's
when I saw it with
gags.
you, you were
Yeah.
laughing your ass
No,
off.
I know. I enjoyed it at the time. It's just now I look back on it, and there's
It's
a
not
reason
a
why
good movie.
Yeah, there's a reason why it's a fucking FX movie. Is because like
Right.
it's the one that people give the least shit about and can watch at midnight.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So Marvel their formula has established a decent baseline in terms of general movie quality.
Right.
They don't do terrible movies. They haven't really. I don't think any of them are really terrible. Like unwatched. Like compared to say X-Men 3 or Spider-Man 3. Can you say any MCU movies like that? No.
Really, no. Again, because we enjoyed Dark World. We
Yeah, exactly.
enjoyed
I
Iron Man 2. We
Yeah.
enjoyed Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
I
actually did enjoy
exactly.
Incredible
It's like
Hulk,
it may not be something you like run back to watch again, but you had a good time when you watched it.
Sure.
And I feel like Captain Marvel, in terms of Marvel movies, is very middle of the pack. It's very mediocre for a Marvel movie, but it's very good in terms of a movie in general.
Right.
There are worse movies out there. Like Brent said, he's right. This is better than Shallow Hal or Freddy Got Fingered.
Well,
or
that's a
whatever.
low bar. Jesus
Well,
Christ, Raph.
but like if you're saying a bad movie, those are bad movies.
It's better than Batman v Superman.
Yes,
It is.
Well,
Yeah,
that doesn't take much.
Batman v Superman doesn't make any sense.
It makes me very uncomfortable.
It's better, and honestly, yes. I'm sorry, Brent. I know you're on this call. It's better than Man of Steel. It
I
is.
wasn't gonna say it.
I
Ian.
don't.
It is. I had to.
I didn't love Man of Steel, but
Yeah.
I think they're close.
All right.
I love the first hour of Man of Steel because when he's discovering his powers, when he's discovering who he is, his
Yeah.
mission, it's all great.
I take your hour and lower it by half. But anyway, continue.
but look, right after he gets his powers, everything goes. Anyway, we're not doing
I know.
that. We
We're
did
not
that.
doing it.
We don't have 3 hours.
We're not
here,
doing
dude.
it.
We do not
So-
have 3 hours
Also,
to
Jamal's
relitigate.
not on this call. It's fine.
My thing about Captain Marvel is the emotional core and plot of the movie is all wrong. It's two plots. It's the Kree Skrull struggle, and it's Carol the Amnesiac. We did not get nearly enough of Carol the Amnesiac. We needed so much more, and that's why everything falls flat. So, like, going back to the big scene where it's like the Supreme Intelligence is like, where do you humans, you're all so weak, and it shows Carol falling over and over and over again, and then she starts getting back up. Hold on, is she remembering this? Does she remember any of this? How does she get back up? Is she suddenly having her memories come back? It's all very, very vague, and it doesn't feel earned because she doesn't know who she is.
At that point, though, she seems to know more of who she is.
But it's not. It's implied,
It's
and it's
implied.
not overly
Yeah.
stated. And in a movie like this, you need to beat us over the head with it to go, oh, she needs to have that Jason Bourne line. I remember. I remember everything. She never really did that, so it feels very vague, and it doesn't feel as earned because you don't know for sure if she remembers this.
She did remember Lieutenant Trouble. Like she did.
Yeah, but she had that memory flash earlier on of it, so I can understand that. But does she remember? She didn't. She stopped having memory flashes up until that moment. So are those scenes that we saw as an audience memory flashes, or are they just there to be there? We are not sure. That's terrible. That's bad storytelling. You need to make it clear to your audience. Carol remembers everything.
Right.
She remembers she's Carol Danvers. She remembers doing all this stuff as a child. She remembers being defiant and fighting back, and it's actually her best quality. And that is why she's a hero. And that is why she's this great pilot. And that is why she's Captain Frickin' Marvel. None of that really happened. It's all assumed, and you have to imply that. And when you have to imply things as opposed to outright state them, it's not as powerful. I can tell you I'm sick, or I can tell you I'm fighting with kidney disease right now and I'm dying. Which one sounds more impactful? Oh, I'm just saying I'm sick, or am I? You know what I mean? Like you have to
Specificity.
Right. You have to be specific with the audience. You have to treat them like they're 5-year-olds. Because in fact, a movie like this probably has a lot of little 5-year-old girls going to it, and they probably won't pick up on that. And that's probably why my audience didn't react to that scene. And I was like the most excited person for that, because I understood her past and I know who she is. But I've been reading comic books for 30 years. Of course, I know who she is.
So in comparison, my theater marked out a lot more than yours did.
Like I did, and like 6 other people did. And I was like, oh,
Right.
come on, this is supposed to be a powerful moment, guys. She remembers who she is,
Right.
And no one did it. But I knew where they were going. But I'm a comic book fan. Of course, I know where they're going.
Let me get my explanation of it out there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it actually, for me, doesn't matter nearly as much whether or not she remembers specifically all of these moments, because I gathered it as the Supreme Intelligence, digging around and bringing up whatever, like most dejected moments she could possibly get.
So to break her down mentally.
To break her down mentally. Right. And then at the same time, Carol today realizing that she will not allow herself to be broken down and taking control of those memories and being like, you know what, screw you, I'm going to get back up and I'm going to wind up being as powerful as I can possibly be.
And that's the conclusion I came with, but also we have a lot of experience with Carol Danvers and who she is.
Yeah, but
the average person who doesn't know this...
Raph, you don't need that. You do not need the experience with Carol Danvers to get that scene.
But then why doesn't everyone automatically
because you saw
react?
it at 42nd Street.
But again, this is for the 42nd.
But did they react to the whole like fight me scene?
Yes, that was the biggest reaction, hands down.
That actually was the emotional core of the movie. I really don't feel like it's her even remembering her past.
But
honestly.
how does the thing is? This is who Carol is who she's always been, and she never. I feel like she was always She starts off the movie lost and not really understanding who she is.
Yeah.
But she knows who she is. And she never reaches that conclusion. And I feel a little disappointed that she doesn't acknowledge that. Like, no, I'm Carol Danvers. I'm a smart-ass pilot who is really good at my job, and I can do whatever I want because I've been gifted these powers, and I'm going to do exactly that. A lot of it's not explicit, and you really got to be explicit with visual medium.
Can I also say that her losing her memories and piecing herself back together, this was the shorthand of Rogue stealing her abilities and then her having to rebuild herself.
Yeah, but no Rogue. So.
But I'm saying you couldn't have Rogue, sure.
Yeah,
but that's basically the plot that they built in this story, was having to rebuild herself.
Plus, it would be and
that's the strongest Carol to me.
And the thing is. And I really don't like that Kevin Feige did this, because when Kevin Feige went out and said, "Oh, Captain Marvel's going to be the most powerful hero we've ever put out,"
he didn't need to do that.
He did not need to do that.
Yeah.
And objectively, I don't think she's that much stronger than, say, Thor. Thor was destroying spaceships left and right.
She's Thor level.
Yeah, she's Thor level, but she doesn't surpass him. And if you're gonna,
my only problem with that is when you say it, you are setting yourself up for
exactly.
attacks. You're distracting the man babies too much.
Exactly, and we don't need that. Because having that argument is stupid. Like, oh, this is the most powerful Marvel. I don't care
I've
about
heard, like,
it personally.
the Wonder Woman is more powerful than Superman. I'm like, I didn't need you to say that. Now you're just going to start a stupid fight.
Yeah, who cares? I don't even care.
I just want them to bang.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I also cracked the hell up.
I want Thor and Carol to bang now. Oh my god!
I cracked the hell up at Sam Jackson's false spoiler that he put out there a couple of months ago about how, like, that Carol Danvers is one of the few characters that can travel through time, so that's going to wind up factoring in really well at Endgame. And he fully admitted, I threw that out there. Like, I wanted to bullshit everybody.
We're all assuming there's still time travel, but we know it's going to be Ant-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Ant-Man set it up.
But I just want everybody back at this point, man.
Yeah, Brent, just out of curiosity, like what moments did your crowd mark out at? Like what were the moments that they really reacted to?
There weren't a lot. There's about half of them clapping at the end, to which Amanda and I were like, nope. But there was not a lot of clapping in my full theater during the movie. No,
not even like clapping. Just like which parts do you feel like they reacted the most to? Like which parts? Which parts did you react the most to? Even like.
I had some all hell nods at the cat in the eye.
Uh-huh.
An all hell nod at the Avenger name for the call sign, which would never happen. I'll get into that a little bit later.
So why? No, you know what? You can get into it now. Why wouldn't it happen?
So, I work with Navy pilots a lot, and from what they say, I don't. This is Air Force, not Navy, so maybe a little bit difference there. But like, Avenger is a cool call sign. Your call sign is never cool. You never get something that cool. And because you don't pick it yourself. It's always like earned in flight school and picked by your peers. And then it's, then sent up the chain or whatever and approved by I don't know what it is, like the CO or XO of the which is commanding officer or executive officer of the squadron in flight school. So, you know, nothing too not verbal, but terrible, like nothing sexual or anything like that. You know, you're not going to get big dick, whatever.
So like Maverick, Iceman, Goose.
Again, Goose, you know, that's a little funny. A lot of the stuff that you get is like things that kind of make fun of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I work with a guy on the regular basis who his call sign was Hansel, basically because he's kind of pretty.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like cool or anything. Nothing he would want to get. There's a legendary pilot who I work with who's called Face Punch, and his call sign is great because they named him for what happens to him a lot. He's punched in the face when he goes out drinking and gets really drunk.
That's hilarious.
I can't wait for the new
Charlie Brown, and it's because he looks like Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
So all the call signs are supposed to be a little bit of a jab at you. So for your call sign to be Avenger would probably never happen.
Well, but also remember, Maria was also Photon, which is actually kind of a cool call sign as well. Like, this is a fantasy movie. Let's remember that. Like,
Right.
a lot of the stuff would not happen. I don't think it would even been that easy to get to the base. Nick Fury wouldn't have been able to defeat the stupid fingerprint sensors with a piece of tape.
Actually, I'm gonna say it, Brent. You pointing this out is me pointing out all the New York inaccuracies whenever there's New York inaccuracies. Nobody gives a shit about it but you.
Fair.
Yeah, I think it can be easy explained as Project Pegasus gave them their call signs.
Yeah.
They reassigned call
that's
signs to
true.
Project Pegasus. That's not that hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's even a stretch that they were picked due to the project.
Right, exactly, because women pilots already had
it
a
could
hard
be
time.
Marvel being all like, "Can I only have women?" or whatever. But still, it's like,
Right.
we don't know. We'll never know because she is dead.
Actually, speaking of which, the Marvel swerve. Like what do we think about that?
Well, let me just go back to this call sign
Go
thing.
ahead.
Like, this is just Hollywood sucking the military's dick of every movie they ever put out where they involve the U.S. military. You know, you have Brie Larson on the press tour.
Yeah.
She's on Jimmy Kimmel, and there's a bunch of ladies in flight suits in the audience. And, it really warms my heart to see you guys here. I got to spend some time with you and get to know you and blah, 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 blah. And, like, it's just like, oh, my gosh, everybody's just, you know, you're a super liberal, but, you know, you got to suck the dick of the military to get the permission for them to show the F-22 and all this other stuff.
It's not really dick sucking. It's like, because the military specifically are looking for productions that are positive in the military. Because if you think back to like the 80s and some of the 90s, depictions in the military were very much not good.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why they loved like the Air
They've
Force.
got a film office now and all this stuff, but
Yeah.
so
Stargate.
it's the thing of like,
that's
if
what I
you
was
do
going to
that
say.
specifically to get the production value, and you send Brie Larson to spend time with female pilots and stuff, which they have now, but I feel like you would know this stuff. Like, maybe you send the actor, but you don't send the writers, the producers.
Yeah, but
there's nobody that knows this stuff. If you spent that much time with them.
So here's the thing, though, dude. You already said, though, that you work with the Navy. I'd love for you to find out, and I'm saying this 100%. I'd love for you to find out if you can get in touch with any Air Force people and ask them about their call signs. I would 100% appreciate it, so we can confirm this yes or no.
But
that's it.
Well,
I don't
the
think
aviator culture starts in the Navy, so they would probably be like, "Oh, it starts in the Navy and goes from there."
Yeah,
Right.
but the thing is, I would also argue like things are always going to be a little inaccurate. Here, it's obviously changed for plot contrivance.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is a minor like contrivance compared to half of the medical shit we see in most
Oh my
movies.
God, please.
Like, you cannot revive someone by electrocuting them. That
Yeah.
will just kill them.
Yeah.
That is not how a defibrillator works.
And it happens in everything.
Yeah, that's actually far worse to me than we're going to give this one character who's not even on the mainline Air Force anymore
Mm-hmm.
a cool call sign. Again, that could have been freaking Marvel being like, I'm going to give you ladies cool, like, galactic call signs. Because the Photon feels like she's just like, I'm going to give you some space reference.
Yeah. How many blind blood transfusions have happened in fucking...
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Or even in this movie, one of my favorites is when it happened in this movie too. When like you hear the bone crunching sound and the person uses the arm again to punch someone later because Carol breaks someone's arm. I think you hear the snap crackle pop.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they're using their fist again later. It's like no, your arm's supposed to be broken. You don't throw punches with that arm because it's gonna hurt.
You
and
can't get shot in the shoulder and actually still use that arm.
Exactly. Yeah. Stuff like that.
I mean, I get your pain. It's similar to my Stan Lee, like, should not be reading the script for a movie that he would have already filmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those situations that, yes, had they done just a little bit more research, they would have fucking done it. But that's a Hollywood issue more than it is specifically this movie.
Yeah, it's a general Hollywood issue.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, even like the historically accurate movies, like Zero Dark 30 had plenty of errors in it.
Oh my God, please!
Yeah.
It had tons, dude.
Yeah.
I really did not like that movie, except
Yeah.
for the final raid scene.
I mean,
Yeah.
American Sniper's full of them. But
Oh
that's,
God, American Sniper's full of
Can we
it.
all go, ugh?
yeah, I know Brent liked that movie, but that's beside the point.
The baby?
Yeah.
Oh, that baby freaked me out,
Except
man.
for the baby, everybody hated the baby.
That movie. I only watched that movie a year or two ago, and I was freaked out by that
Baby
baby.
feels so real in that.
Yeah.
Was really really bad.
That baby. Rough. Rough stuff.
Yeah, just that I'm more on your side, Raph, that it is a middle of the pack movie, and that I enjoyed it. I'll have to go see it at least one more time just to get a final take on it. But I think it may be better than the first Captain America. It may be. It may be.
Maybe. I find
It's
that
definitely better
movie
than
has a-
Thor for me, though.
Oh, it's definitely better than Thor and
Yeah.
Thor Dark World. Dark World is at my bottom too.
Yes.
I think Captain America: First Avenger has a lot of charm to it that
Yes.
is
Yes, it
not
does.
really present here because I think this movie wanted to have charm, and that's partly like the cat and the '90s references.
Yeah.
But like the cat was great, but the references not so much.
Monica
enough.
was my favorite character.
I do.
Yeah.
What? Who else?
Monica was my favorite character.
Monica,
Yeah.
but I like Talos. Like when he's sitting there just drinking. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
He was good, too.
I'm thinking Monica, and like immediately I went, I'm cold. Like
that
because,
kid was great.
Yeah, the kid from Iron Man 3 set the standard for best kids in Marvel movies, and like it's you gotta.
Oh, that
I mean,
kid.
first of
Yeah.
all, they understand their audience is going to be a lot of children.
Yeah.
and you do have to give kids to look at. That's why I think Quiet Place is actually a great kids movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not, have you seen it?
I haven't
Raph?
seen it
You should
yet.
see it. It's actually a great kids movie. There's no swearing, obviously, because
Right.
nobody's
There's
talking.
barely any talking
Like
anyway.
the kids have a huge role in the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a very simple story. There isn't a lot of violence.
Yeah.
Like I know that sounds weird for a movie where they're being hunted by aliens.
But yeah, not much.
Yeah,
Okay.
nobody's shooting people or like they're not punching each other in the face. They're just running from monsters.
Right, yeah,
It's
okay.
perfect for children. And I like that Marvel has definitely been incorporating more kids into their stories. Like,
Yeah.
because we
We're-
can talk about, we made a black character, we made a woman character, but ultimately, when you want a kid to relate to a movie, you have to put a kid in the story.
Yeah.
So that it also fits in my theory of what Far From Home is going to be about, which is a secondary Avengers team with Spider-Man and all the other kids that we've seen.
I
get the you
yeah.
could make
And they're all too young,
kind
except for
of
Peter.
kind of like Ultimate Spider-Man. Well, no, because Shuri is like
Shuri's
six.
missing
Is she missing?
in the trailer.
'Cause
Yeah.
In one of the commercials of the trailer, her name she's listed on one of the boards that Steve's looking
That's
at.
true.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she could just be in hiding, but I think the intention
If
is they want-
Cassie's still alive, she's like she's actually really
Well,
young.
look,
Never mind.
I'm
She's
still
12.
I'm
She's
still
very
of,
young.
I'm still of the mind that that's not really Nick Fury, and we're going to find that out in the movie. But I think it's
Oh, it's a
either
Nick Fury and LMD.
I think not even that.
God,
dude.
I want
It's
LMDs.
Mysterio's in this fucking movie. Like,
Oh, yeah,
it could,
yeah,
it
you're
could
right.
easily be Mysterio or a double swerve that it's both Chameleon and Mysterio in the movie.
I could,
Christ,
I could
Yeah.
see. Well, no, but if it is Fury, I could see them doing the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon route where
Yeah.
it's a kid hero team.
It's a possibility. We need to touch on Marvel. We need to do that, because I think that was a huge change from the comics. Not just gender wise, but just
Story-wise.
Marvel isn't a soldier in this.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think they did that. They made Marvel not a soldier and a woman because they didn't want to take away from Carol. Because the thing about Carol Danvers in the comics is the fact that she is not the first Captain Marvel. At Alamo, they did their little pre-show, and I was like, oh my God, we've had like 6 Captain Marvels. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So they kind of wanted to hammer it home. They didn't want anything that would overshadow Carol in any way. So they gave her a mentor that was Marvel, but again, not a dude, not a soldier, just a person she admired.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. Like, because that was a good, excellent point made by the Twitters in that Marvel's most interesting story is the one where he died.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like with Gwen Stacy. Her most interesting story is the one where she died.
Well, he's a boring character.
Yeah,
He's
we
Superman.
romanticize these characters, but they were killed off for a reason.
Jean Grey's
Yeah.
most interesting storyline is the one where she died. For fuck's sake!
Well-
no, I'm sorry. I'm sticking by
The
that.
initial Phoenix saga was, but you're right that they had
I
to
love-
drive her crazy,
Exactly.
first. And
I
then,
do like her new X-Men Grant Morrison run. stuff. I like her in it, but ultimately in the end, of that series, she dies too.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
well, the best thing to me is that Scott was cheating on her with Emma, and
Yeah.
then he started dating Emma, and that's like, I hate that they broke up because I was like, no, this is better,
I know.
honestly.
Yeah.
Because I liked the insinuation. I know I don't want to get completely off topic, but the insinuation, which I feel like was never really followed up on, that Jean was subconsciously influencing Scott to be
Yeah.
in love with her.
Yeah, I remember that.
That fixes the character.
Yeah.
That
It
fixes
does.
Scott, because remember, Scott is a dude who married a woman who looked exactly like his dead girlfriend, had a
Right.
baby with this woman, and then his dead girlfriend turns out to not be dead, and he just freaking leaves.
Yep.
And that is the shittiest thing Scott Summers has done, but it makes more sense if you figure Gene was somehow psychically controlling him. It makes him
Yeah.
less shitty to me.
Hooray,
Yeah.
girl.
And I don't if Jean isn't doing it on purpose, then I don't really demonize her. Like, I'm just like, okay, Jean, you need to get your shit locked down.
Yeah, it just could
Yeah.
be subconscious, which I mean, she had problems controlling her powers anyway. So
Yeah,
Right.
which we're gonna have a whole movie about it again.
Yeah, I know.
because
Please, but
I do not. I'm not looking for another movie.
where I want to go.
But Brent, we need your thoughts on Marvel because you didn't really touch on it earlier. So, I mean, are you all right with the swerve? Was it a good change for you? Was it a negative? Do you just not give a shit about that?
I just don't give a shit, I guess.
Well, because you don't really have that much of a affinity for Marvel to begin with, right? Because you've never really read
No,
much
and
about it.
it's weird that it's true that his best story is when he dies.
Mhm.
You know, but it was like the 70s when he's dead. So,
Right.
and then they had the thing after, I guess, Secret Invasion when they tried to bring him
Oh
back,
God,
Yeah, that was the one
but then
they.
he wasn't back.
That was
and
bad.
then it's like Marvel's been trying so hard to make the Genis Captain Marvel come back.
Genis,
whatever.
Genisvel
Genis
is
is
my
the kid?
boy. Yeah, Genisvel's the
Genus
kid.
and Philoville.
Yes.
Okay,
I do love
They've been
Philo.
trying so
Yeah.
hard to make Marvel a thing that was weird for them to just be like, forget it, flip it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they realized it just wasn't working. Like more than anything else, he died of cancer. You can't bringing somebody back who emotionally died of cancer like that in one of the best graphic novels that Marvel's ever produced.
Also, it wouldn't be right to make Jude Law Marvel and make
Yeah.
him like an evil Kree. Like it would
Yes.
undermine. Then why would she call herself Captain Marvel?
Right.
What would the point of that be?
You're right.
She's honoring the person who inspires her.
taking it-
so,
I'm
Yeah,
taking
no.
back.
As soon as like I was like, he is definitely lying to her. He's
Yeah.
not Marvel.
Yeah.
yeah.
That would be the bigger betrayal. I know. Remember how upset people were again that the Mandarin wasn't like a Chinese Fu Manchu character.
Ready for another lesson?
So if you made Marvel like a bad dude, oh my god,
Yeah, I
you are
would've-
picking a fight.
Yeah, all the 70s Marvel nerds would get upset.
But there are no
ordered the
70s
General
Marvel
Chos?
nudes. It's people our age who are getting butthurt about like comics they've never even read.
That's true.
No, you're right.
I've read the comics. I know that. I have talked to some of these. I was like, dude, you have not read a fucking.
Yeah.
I've read some of the Marvel comics. I've read Death of Captain Marvel.
I read Death of Captain Marvel one time, and I need to reread it. Because
He is
I
kind of
haven't-
boring. He's basically Superman and
Yeah.
Silver Surfer put together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Silver Surfer's kind of. I mean, you've read Silver Surfer.
Well,
He-
yeah, of
he
course.
monologues in space by himself.
That was
now-
the whole point of the comic.
And
I
now
would
you have
say.
two characters doing that. It's kind of
The best Silver Surfer was when they made him Doctor Who. You know, like
Yeah, that
like
was
when
pretty
Dan
good.
Slott went in and you know had him with a literal companion going across the galaxy, like you know going from planet to planet. Like
Yeah.
that was the best Silver Surfer that we got. Captain Marvel. I mean, the only interaction that made Captain Marvel interesting was with Rick Jones.
Rick Jones, who was still not in the MCU,
How?
which is disappointing to me. Like
Yeah.
even as if it's just a hat tip.
I know.
It'd be funny.
Yeah.
Remember what I said originally? I wanted like Darren Criss because then you could actually have him sing.
I'd be okay with that. I'd be perfectly okay with that. Either that or like Adam Lambert, maybe. Like might
Oh,
be
Jesus.
might be another
I
suggestion.
don't know how good an actor he would be.
Yeah. Well, he's been in
Well-
American
Dude,
Horror Story.
Rami Malek, because apparently he can play anything.
I mean, then you
Actually, no,
do
man.
you wouldn't have had this. You would have to do the storyline where Cap treats him as his Bucky and then makes him become a teenage sidekick of his.
No,
which
you
is
do not need to do that.
Really weird.
You do not need to do
Dude,
that.
you do.
can skip that.
You can do Rick Jones the way they're doing Trish on
Yeah.
Jessica Jones.
I'm Rick
Yeah,
Jones.
that's true.
Because he could just be like a guy who just happens to be around a lot. Like
Sure.
he's a reporter or he is a radio personality.
Right.
I just kind of love how Rick Jones is essentially this. They actually said this in the Alamo pre-show. He's like he's basically the Forrest Gump of the Marvel
Yeah,
universe.
he is.
Yeah.
You know
No,
what?
that's true.
They can still do that movie and just call it Rick Jones and just have him be in the background of every single major Marvel event. You just don't know it.
He could be.
Rick Jones, bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
No, they could. Oh no, they should make a Marvels movie.
Yeah,
and instead
exactly,
Of the
do
old,
Marvels.
Instead of the I forget the name of the photographer from that. Just have it be Rick Jones instead.
I'd be
Yeah,
okay with that.
That's totally fine.
My name's Rick Jones. People call me Rick Jones.
Oh, dear Lord.
Life is like a box of Marvel chocolates. You never know
I
which hero's gonna show up in your life.
Oh, I still need my green psychiatrist.
Yeah, I know. We're not getting Leonard Sampson anytime
I
soon.
love
damn it.
Leonard Sampson. It
I
doesn't even
know.
have to be Ty Burrell at this point, but I really would like it to be Ty Burrell.
So do you think that so this movie took place in 95. So that means that when we get to 2019, Monica Rambeau is going to be all grown up.
Yeah, she's
She's gonna be in her early 20s.
I think she's 12.
Yeah.
She looks to be about 12 in this movie.
Uh-huh.
So
Well,
She's
wait.
going to be like, where the hell have you been? You disappeared a second time, you bitch. Why
Yeah.
should I like you again?
Right?
she thinks she'd understand. I think the first time was more traumatic. I would say that was unrealistic. But she's like, Auntie Carol. And I'm like, bitch, you were 6 when she left.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
really?
Yeah.
Just like, you disappear once, you come back for about 5 minutes, we bond again, and then
you leave
disappear
again?
a second time
Yeah.
and never bother to come back?
Yeah, I'm hoping she was at least sending like communiques or something like that somehow, like at least like telegrams.
Dear Auntie Carol.
Yeah.
The flirting is fine. Nick Fury says hi.
Yeah.
Mom says hi.
Oh, by the way, I'm Photon now. Bye.
Yeah.
Like
I built a ship. I went to space.
she's
Hey,
gonna
thanks,
be
bye.
she's gonna be a superhero in Captain Marvel too. Like it's almost guaranteed. Like
It's
I think we have to
totally-
be going there.
Yeah, you don't unless you don't use the kid ever again, which would
Yeah.
really piss me off and
Well,
ruin this
they
movie
didn't have
for
her
me.
wearing a 90s Monica necklace on her mom's neck
No.
for you to see the entire time
Yeah.
for no reason.
That's true. That's true. Plus, do you think, and this is completely, well, I guess it is sort of on topic, do you think they based this in the 90s because the next Wonder Woman movie is going to be in the 80s?
It's not out of the realm of possibility,
Yeah.
but I also feel like they couldn't have done this in the present day
Well, yeah,
because the snap.
sure.
So
But they could have done an Ant-Man and Wasp and had it been like a couple of months
They
before.
also could have made the movie earlier like they originally planned.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was always going to be a flashback story. I just don't. Did it have to be a 90s flashback story? No.
Yeah. Plus, we only have a couple of months between, this movie coming out and Endgame.
I actually am bothered by the timeline on that because the fact is, so we see Nick is working on his Avenger Initiative document.
Back in 95. So
Yeah, that's 95.
That's 12 years, I think.
So we're talking to 2008.
13
so, yeah, it's like, I'm like, damn, that's like a long period of time, dude. Like, if it's like 5 or 6 years, I get it. But this was
Yeah.
a lot longer of a period.
Yeah, because he didn't spot anyone until Tony.
Right. Which makes me wonder whether or not what this, because we're going to get a 2 clearly, because this movie's made over $150 million
it's-
in a weekend. But
It's
like,
made 450 worldwide.
are we going to get after Endgame, or are we going to get in between,
No,
the
it's going to
90s
have to
and
be
now?
after.
It's
Yeah.
everything that takes place after Endgame is post Endgame.
Yeah.
as far as I know.
All right,
You can't.
okay.
I mean, at this point, since they already did one of the buttons was Carol showing up at Avengers
Right.
headquarters, you can't go back now.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
true.
It would be weird.
It wouldn't- yeah.
Good point.
I mean, it was weird enough that Guardians of the Galaxy didn't actually move forward. It was literally only a few months afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
So it's 4 years of sexual tension between Peter and Gamora.
Oh God, good point.
I was
Yeah.
like, ew, this is deeply uncomfortable. Like they're just kind of like not banging for 4 years.
Yeah. I'm also still hoping we get Nova somewhere. Like, I mean, because I know we've gotten the Nova Primes and they were all destroyed.
Nova would
apparently.
be cool. I mean,
No, we didn't get primes. We got one Nova Prime and we got the Nova Core in,
There
their,
you go.
in their little starfighters.
yeah. So
Right.
we can always get.
We can get
Nova.
Richard Rider.
Hell, we. Oh,
Here's
no.
the thing.
Yeah.
Nope. I've
What?
already figured it out. Monica will be Nova.
All right, there we go.
It
Here's the-
works. It's tidy, little bow.
How it works, because the Xandar has been destroyed by Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the leftover part of the Nova Force put into a helmet and flown off into space,
Yeah.
and it lands on Earth and Monica gets it, you can have Nova.
All right.
Which is which are basically Marvel's Green Lanterns anyway. So why not rip off Green Lantern?
Yeah, I would think it would be the tidiest way to do it. I know some purists will.
Yeah,
scream their
whatever,
head off,
who
and I'm
cares?
like,
Yeah, but you know what? There's already purists screaming about Marvel being a woman.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Listen, until we get Darkhawk, I don't care.
yeah, it's
your focus-tested hero.
Yes.
Darkhawk is the villain.
Yes, I don't care.
Marvel too.
I need Darkhawk as the villain, as the leaders of a leader of the Kree, and they invade Earth, and Thor shoves his axe into his chest. I don't care. I want it. I just want Darkhawk on screen. When Darkhawk's on screen, I will take my name off the kidney transplant list. I will just end my life right there. I'll be happy.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and you can make as many damn changes as you want because they're not the comics. They're based on the comics.
I
that's
think
what
it's
I
really
appreciate.
interesting to me that this is. I feel like this could be a whole other podcast episode.
Yeah.
Is how the cinematic and television adaptations of these shows are
Mm-hmm.
actually making me more comfortable with having multiple versions of the same characters.
I agree.
Yeah.
And just kind of like them coexisting and sort of being in a multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of. Like DC has been done a really good job with
Yeah.
that. Like, because we have said we want in Crisis. Yeah, we're like, yes, of course it's going to have Arrow and Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, and hopefully it'll have Black Lightning, and it's going to definitely have Supergirl.
The
And-
Arrowverse has 2 Gotham cities. They established that now. Like, this Gotham City on Supergirls has a Batman that has met Superman.
Right,
and yet
they're
we haven't
friends.
we haven't even met Batman yet, but we're going to get a Batwoman series
Yeah.
based on Flash's.
And then, but I'm also like we've said, we're like, can you just bring in Gotham? I mean, the show's over.
Yeah.
And David Mazouz is a really good Batman. I mean,
I would
he's
be
still
perfectly okay with that.
He's 17, but he's doing a really good job of it.
Yeah, so
He is.
that could be like Earth 6.
But Marvel is also like making me like, because of that feeling, I'm like, I'm kind of comfortable with like, yeah, you change things. It's cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, and here with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like, you might not have, alternate realities, but I mean,
It is an alternate reality.
yeah,
Like, according to their multiverse theory, 616, of course, is our
Right.
major comic universe, but the movie universe is like 10,000 or 10,002 or some number like that. You can look it up on Wikipedia.
right, yeah. So overall, again, I'm going to need to see this damn thing at least one more time to like submit
Please
how I
do.
feel about it. I'm going to because I want to see that Draft House because I want to see that frickin'
I wanna
turn
do
off
that
your cell
too.
phone message.
Yes, they did that, right?
was really
Also, and yeah, the pre-shows for people who do not live in a city that has an Alamo, you can usually watch some of their clips on their YouTube account.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like watching these things because they gave you the history of like Carol Danvers on screen,
Yeah.
always animated.
Yep.
And they're showing. I love the first clip they showed was freaking X-Men.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
because she was one of the background characters.
It wasn't background.
Oh, you're right. They had a whole episode.
There was a
Yes.
story arc.
Right,
Rogue was
right.
losing her mind and didn't know
Yes.
why. And
I remember that.
I was like,
Oh my
damn,
god,
My mind.
man! The Batman the animated
you stole my life.
X-Men the animated series was deep at times. It really
It was more advanced for a kids show.
Yeah.
You watch it now and it's still a deeply uncomfortable show. You're just like,
Yeah.
wow, this is really stupid. But for 1992, it did a lot of things nobody's seen, like mostly the serialization.
Yeah, best
Yeah.
adaptation of the Phoenix Saga we've gotten. I mean,
Seriously.
Yeah.
Scotch.
Yeah.
It's not even that hard to adapt.
control
And she survives at the end.
Yes,
like it
she
was the
does.
original ending to the Phoenix Saga.
I remember that.
Yeah, but just I'm going to see it again. I'm going to see how I feel after that, and whether or not I'm more on the side of what Brent felt or more on the side of what you felt, Raph. Because I mean, you seem to have. I mean, like you said, you seem to have cooled on it since you actually saw it, which happens to me after I've seen a movie too. Like I mean, after I think about it, more,
I don't. It's just I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that good.
Yeah.
So that means it's very mediocre.
I have the same reaction to it as I did, honestly, to Black Panther. Everyone was losing their goddamn minds about Black Panther. The first half of Black Panther's kind of boring. It's not good until Killmonger shows up, and then Killmonger shows up. and then
Killmonger
it's the
changes the
greatest goddamn
entire
movie.
game.
I'm actually more frustrated than some of the back parts of Black Panther. To be honest, like
Like the end part?
the fight scene and how horrible the CGI is.
Oh no, the
That
CGI
takes away
is just
from it so much.
terrible. The entire goddamn movie. Oh.
And the ending, while good, did fall slightly flat for me. Just the way
I like-
the way they executed.
Black Panther's still in my upper third though of Marvel
Oh,
movies.
absolutely.
It's just
Yeah. I have problems with every single Marvel movie. I have issues
I have-
with every single one of them, at least here or there.
I don't have any problems with Infinity War because I love
I have
everyone's
problems.
pain.
I have problems with
snap.
Infinity War.
I'll snap.
I love it.
Yeah.
I also make the mistake of like I interact with Adam Garcia at work and on Twitter.
Yeah.
And all he does is piss and moan about how much he hates Avengers Infinity War.
It has my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe moment, which is I think a lot of people. The Thor cavalry scene is one
It's
of the
really
most
good. The audience
perfectly
cheers.
executed.
Oh, yeah.
I have never seen an audience not cheer that scene.
Well,
I go on YouTube just to watch audiences cheer that scene.
there's my favorite cavalry moment out of everything though will always be Winter Soldier though when they're taking down the helicarriers, like what essentially when they make that happen, it works great for me.
Yeah.
It does.
Was that a cavalry scene?
For me it was. I mean, like
Cavalry is like
It's like the last second save.
yeah, the ideological
like
idea.
Gandalf saving at Helm's Deep is good. It is not
they
Thor
had
good.
3 seconds until shit was going to go down in that. Like Cap's running from helicarrier to
But that's more
helicarrier.
like, it'd be more like if out of nowhere Tony Stark came in and was like, "I got you, Cap," and then
All right. That's
it's
fair.
more
That's
someone
fair.
coming to your rescue
right.
when you're absolutely fucked.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Thor does it better than almost any movie superhero
Good point.
or regular hero I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to completely re-talk about Infinity War again, but
Yeah.
I think what makes that scene good is the fact that it doesn't come out of nowhere. It's not a Deus Ex Machina.
Right,
Because
yeah.
the movie is
It's set
actually,
up.
that is a plot line. That is one of the B plots in the movie.
Yes.
Is following them as he goes to get the weapon and he risks his life and you get all these little character beats. Because I love how, like, teenage Groot develops, like, fucking empathy in
Yes.
this movie.
Yeah,
In
he's
general.
growing.
Well,
Yeah.
remember what I said about how I like how the Marvel movies handle children
Yeah.
and they handle teenagers really well, because that movie
Yeah.
has 2 beautiful examples of teenagers being self-aware.
Right.
And that's when Groot, like, he's playing his little video game and he's like, oh, that dude might die if I don't do something. And
I
he
should
actually
help
steps up.
out.
Yeah, and mind you, ends up being at, like, risk because it's
Yeah.
painful when he does that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Peter is the like I'm talking about Peter Parker here, is the MVP of Infinity War.
He is.
He is the
He
most
does a lot.
competent character in that entire movie. Watch it again. There is not a single mistake that kid makes in that movie. He does everything.
Yeah, he does
perfect.
everything to the best of his abilities.
and speaking of
Yeah.
Infinity War, we can touch on the
I just want to see Endgame so
Well,
bad.
yeah,
So do I, yeah.
the mid credits scene clearly taken straight from Endgame along the lines of what
Yeah.
they did with Ant-Man and the scene from Civil War.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I like the way that they executed it, and it's certainly got me even more pumped for Endgame. But basically, this entire movie was just a lead up to that freaking scene.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's
It was a 2-hour cock tease.
no,
Just
that's.
Which is
leave it
why this
straight.
movie's not that good.
Fair,
But
fair
there are
point.
other. I mean, to be honest, Rogue One.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all
Thank you.
waiting for the plans to
Right.
get to Leia.
That's why-
Right, we're
That's why I
waiting
brought
for
up-
that moment with a new where
And that
she
is
says
why
A
I
New
brought
Hope.
up Rogue One in the first place. is
Because
that-
yeah, it's a prequel.
Yes, it is a prequel. It is a movie that you can either see or not see. It is an ancillary movie, and it doesn't necessarily make it bad, but it's a movie that if you haven't seen, you will still be able to understand
Right.
everything that's
If I never watch Captain Marvel and I go see Endgame, I've seen Infinity War. I know what's going to happen.
because you saw Infinity War and you saw the final scene with the with the pager. If she just shows up at the end in Endgame and you haven't seen Captain Marvel, you're still going to know, oh hey, this is the person who was on
this
the other
must
end
be
of
the
pager.
person Nick was calling. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's. I think people forget when they watch Marvel movies, like, because again, I mentioned Adam Garcia and he hates Infinity War because the deaths
Explain
are-
who Adam Garcia is, by the way. Nobody else.
He writes comics. He's
Yeah.
a fan of. Not a friend. He's a friend of Jamal's.
Yeah.
He works for Yahoo Entertainment.
Yeah.
I get arguments with him about Star Wars.
There we go.
Yeah, but he hates it, and a lot of people do hate it because they feel like it's cheap. The deaths are going to be reversed. Like the stakes in this, which I think that's bullshit because we all know they're going to be reversed. That's not really what I think is
Have
bothering
you
people.
never read a comic
My
book?
father was like, how are they going to get out of this? Not, oh my God, those people are dead. It's like, how are they going to get out of this? He just sees it as another problem for them to
Right,
face.
exactly. It's
And we're
just-
not being asked to mourn their deaths. We're being asked, because you could even see that in the trailers for Endgame, that we are being asked to empathize with the characters left behind.
Right.
It's
Like-
not about the people who died. It's about the fact that Steve fucked up, and he did.
Yeah, and then that moment where he's like shaking, his hands are shaking as he puts the shield back on. I mean, it's about Captain America, like and his last ride.
He fucked up.
Yeah, he did.
Fucked up. He did.
man.
why? Like, the Vision's all like, oh, let me die. And he's like, no, we don't sacrifice people. I'm
No.
like, oh, you sacrifice the black people in Wakanda? Like,
Oh,
what the
Jesus.
fuck, Steve?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I am angry about that
I know.
movie.
Now
I love that movie, and I'm angry about
Although
that.
now I'm just thinking about our mutual friend Pat Loika and how he's so hard
He's
Tony,
so Team Tony.
Team Tony that like he regularly calls Captain America a war criminal.
Yeah, I don't.
He's a dick. He is.
I'm not.
Wait, was Brent going to say something?
Yeah, what? You've never seen any of Pat's posts like that, Brent?
No, I guess I don't follow him.
He's hardcore Team Tony.
Oh,
so,
yeah, no.
like hardcore. And
I'll
I'm
try.
like,
I'll try
dude,
to bring up a couple for you later. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Steve, but he's such an ass.
He is an ass. Oh man. All right. Do we have any final thoughts here? Because we've almost gone the length of the movie at this point. We're an hour 30 in.
Can Endgame be here yet?
No, that movie's longer than 2 hours.
No, that's true. It was like what 2:10, I think.
Two something. Two extra.
2:17, I want to say,
okay.
because I saw that, you know how Alamo puts the times over there, and some little kid was looking at it, and I think he said 137 minutes. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Shit!
And then he went bad robot because that's absolutely the.
Shut up. Kids enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
That's what
argue.
matters.
I think that this will be another. I mean, I really hate to put it this way. This will be another movie that you can easily watch on FX in the middle of the night. It's not a bad thing necessarily.
It's
but
middle of the pack.
It's middle of the pack.
It's
The way you put it,
fine.
Raph.
I don't.
It is not bottom of the pack for me, Brent. I understand why it is for you, and I know you're impassioned about the call signs, and we were not trying to undermine you with that.
Well, it's just hard to talk when you get three people in the same room all talking over you at the same time.
I
can't read the body
understand that.
language.
I understand that, sir.
I think, and again, with us, it was just like, are you just repeating yourself at this point? Because we like,
Hey.
we understand your point. He's like, actual pilots. That's not how call signs work. At the same time, movies are not how a lot of things work.
I listened to you guys talk about one New York comic shop chain going out of business for an hour and a half.
It's not even a chain. It's just one store.
Well, it was a chain. I was
It was a chain
trying
years
to make
ago.
it about how like old school comic shops. Though.
Yes,
'Cause
and
that's just it. St. Mark's to us is like that's the death of the old school comic shop, and good riddance.
Yeah, it's like comic book guy comic shops. We don't need those anymore.
And if you want more information on that episode, you can listen to episode 195 right before this one, so you can know what Brent's referencing there. But yeah, no, I think overall middle of the pack, right? Middle of the pack.
Yeah, for the most
I
part.
didn't love
Yeah.
it, but I'm
There's been, what,
fine with it.
22 movies. I would put it somewhere
Christ.
between like 14 and 18.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I
only
don't
think
like
it's
ranking.
I think it's suffering from happening too long in the cycle. Marvel did drop the ball with waiting so long, honestly.
Yeah. No, Infinity War was number 20. So Ant-Man
Okay.
was 21, and this is 22. If you don't count Spider-Verse and
That's confusing at
Sony.
this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
MCU.
Okay.
This is the 22nd MCU movie,
All right.
if I remember right.
Yeah,
Because
because
Infinity War is number 20.
Right. Incredible Hulk counts. Because-
Everything from Iron Man till now. That's what I count.
All right.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is.
I don't think you're going to be able to introduce another character and have the same Marvel origin story formula and have
No,
it be fresh anymore.
It's kind of
Yeah.
tired. You got to do something wildly different.
At this point, actually, they're probably better off introducing them as a team like they did in Guardians of the Galaxy than they are as individual stories.
and you can
What,
do
new
that now.
characters?
yeah, new characters.
I think we're at the point we're going to start getting legacy. Mm-hmm. Because again, they're already laying the groundwork for that by showing us the kids.
Oh my God! Wait a minute! What if we get a Thunderstrike movie?
Are you kidding me? I will love it
What if we get
so hard.
Eric Masterson? Just fucking introduce Eric Masterson.
Yeah, when Hemsworth leaves and like some other bearded blonde white dude like decides to
What if they just get a different Hemsworth to be Thor?
Oh
after
my God.
Liam
he
Hemsworth?
leaves?
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. I just saw Liam Hemsworth actually in that rom com thing that came out. The one about how like the woman winds
Rebel
up Rebel
Wilson?
Wilson winds up in a rom com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not even him. You get the one that played Thor in the movie in Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, Shem.
Youngest
Yeah.
brother.
Shemp Hemsworth.
Shem Hemsworth. No, it's actually
Shmuel?
yeah. No, I was gonna say it's Harpo.
I was going to say, is it Larry Hemsworth?
Yeah.
It's a little Good Place reference for those people who didn't quite get it.
Yeah.
The one who almost married.
Now I'm thinking of Larry Lieber, though. Just I don't know why my head went there.
God rest in peace.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a good.
I cried during the logo. Oh.
Can I say that even though I enjoyed this movie, the best part of the movie was "Thank You, Stan."
Yeah,
that intro with all the Stan clips, just completely pulled
that was a
my
nice touch.
heartstrings. Yeah, that was really well done.
he's done enough cameos.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
Yes, he has.
Dating back to Spider-Man.
I would also advise people, if you've not read The Untold Story of Marvel Comics, you should
Yes.
read The Untold Story of Marvel Comics.
And that's how you find out Darkhawk was focus tested with 8-year-olds. And that's why when I was 8 years old and he debuted, I loved him.
I think I got that on Amazon for like $2.
Yeah.
Great, yeah.
It was on sale. I do recommend it because it does teach you a lot about. I feel like it is very fair to Stan that I think he worked his ass off the first decade or two. Or when I say the first decade or two, I'm thinking of the 60s, but he's been there since the 30s.
Yeah.
And then he of course went hard into like the Hollywood thing. And
Oh yeah, I created everything. I didn't need any help. Jack Kirby. Yeah, that guy.
yeah, I mean they kind of go into that, and I came out with a much more sympathetic view than I expected to. I still
Yeah,
think
no,
he was,
same, definitely.
He was kind of
Yeah.
an ass, but at the same time, Jack Kirby was also an asshole.
They were all assholes. in
Yeah.
one way or
Yeah,
another.
no, it was all.
Yeah.
It's it's creative work. It's always creative work is always about ego, no matter what.
Yeah,
Ditko was
no
calling
question
him a
about it.
parasite.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, dude, you are never going to get credited if you're calling
Nope.
the writer a parasite.
And I mean, it was a little sad that Stan wound up in the in memoriam. Well, no, not entirely. That Ditko wasn't mentioned because Ditko was never in movies. So I guess that's
yeah,
why.
he's
Yeah,
just
you
a
have to be
comic
part of the
artist.
Academy.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, but although his basically his in memoriam was Into the Spider-Verse for me. Like that was the way to do it, and they did it for both of them.
Did they do a dedication? I don't
They
remember.
did. Yeah,
Okay.
they dedicated to both Stan and Steve.
I must have not been paying attention to that part.
Yeah, at the very end of the movie.
Yeah. In the credits. Yeah, I remember.
Mhm.
Okay.
I believe they had a quote from Stan and then said thank you to both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, also, I mean, yeah, we're almost done, but I wanted
Yeah.
to say I really loved, even though I hated that it was Blink and You Miss It cameo by Kelly Sue,
Oh yes.
was kind of nice.
What scene was it? Because I know
It's the
she
subway
scene.
station.
Yes.
She walks right by her. She's got the bright magenta hair.
Okay.
And she had a lot of creative input on this movie, apparently, because she's one of the main
that
architects
helps.
of Captain Marvel.
Really?
I feel like
It's like how
they've.
Bendis had creative input in previous Marvel movies.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good that they are involving the creators more, so like you can get. I mean, that's Kevin Feige's entire thing is
Sure.
to
Yeah.
like to be a big nerd about it.
So I'm hoping they call when Shang-Chi and Darkhawk hit.
Also, Mark Waid was in the special thanks.
Yes, and he called it out.
For what character though? That's
Well,
what
I saw Gary Frank
yes.
on Twitter right before we started saying, "Hey, can anybody tell me why I was in the special thanks?" Because he was like, "Did they mix up the Captain Marvels?" But in fact, he co-created Talos. First appearance of Talos the Skrull.
Wow, he
Okay.
probably doesn't even
Mark-
remember creating Talos.
Mark
Probably
Waid probably did. He did a lot of scroll work in Fantastic Four.
That's true.
So he could have.
Yeah.
It could have been the scrolls.
Okay.
He had major contributions with the scrolls.
Good point. Yeah. Yeah. That's a possibility.
That's the only thing I can
The
think of.
Skrulls, the bug-eyed Skrulls, being like how they first appeared in the comics, I thought was cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
Oh, I will say I was a little sad that the Skrulls didn't just decide to live on Earth, because I feel like you could do that without breaking continuity.
As cows?
No, let's
But
not
then-
go back to the cows, because then they get eaten and it's super weird.
But then Fury would have recruited them to the Avenger Initiative.
No, not necessarily. They're civilians. He knows that.
Yeah.
They don't have any special powers. They're literally
Yeah.
just shapeshifters, and he didn't need shapeshifters. He was talking about bigger threats,
Yeah.
right?
There was
but
only
I feel like
one
he
of the-
would have tried, and then it would have been controversial.
There was only one of the soldiers left. That's it, and then that was the father.
Oh, and he left.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
They,
right.
they all left. I'm just saying
Yeah.
they could have
Yeah.
stayed on Earth, and I would have kind of dug that.
I'd
Just
be
like,
okay with
there's
that.
some Skrulls living on Earth. Well, why don't you recruit them? Because they're farmers.
And
you
for
know?
all,
That's true.
And
That's
for all
true.
we know, there's other Skrulls on Earth that are more radical. Secret Invasion coming soon.
He loves you.
Yeah, actually, that could have been a good segue into that. If you wanted to make the Skrulls the bad guy again, make some of the kids become like radicals,
Yeah.
like revolutionaries, like Viva la, whatever the name of their planet is, Skrullia. I think they said it was something stupid.
Skrillex.
No.
Skrultovia.
No, that was actual. It was a joke in the movie.
Yeah.
Their like home planet has the same name. They're like, yeah, I know, it's a dumb name. You know, I don't remember. Somebody listening to this is like screaming, like, no,
My-
it's blah blah blah. And I'm
My
like,
name is Brian. I'm from the Brian race, from the planet Brian. Like that's basically.
you can't name a planet Bob.
You can certainly try.
All right. I think we've essentially wrapped up here, but before we do, Mr. Suhu, you have a Kickstarter to pimp.
Yeah, so you guys can find me on Twitter and Facebook and all that at Raph Does Stuff. I have a Kickstarter I worked on with one of my former coworkers, Jason Conover, called Masked Prejudice. It's a comic anthology. Basically, think of it as a metaphor for our current climate with immigration and like racism and all that. And throw in like a Civil War kind of vibe, like Marvel's Civil War, where like superheroes have to register and the tensions and the difficulties of that. I wrote a 5-page story about called "Do the Right Thing," where it's about kids getting bullied and like kids possibly getting detained and taken away from their parents. There's modern themes in there. So if you go into Kickstarter and look up Masked Prejudice in the comics section, you can check that out. I'm sure Ian will put it in the show notes.
Yes, I will put it in the show notes. This is gonna have show notes.
At Raph Does Stuff.
And currently at $28.59 out of $2,800 with 27 days to go. 1,000. My mistake.
We need a little bit of money.
Yeah.
I gotta pay the artists and stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, hey, you're off to a good start with 27 days to go. So
that's not bad. It's not Critical Role with their $5 billion.
Jesus Christ, I saw that.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I do also want to mention a Kickstarter for White, real quick.
Yeah, for Jamal's book. Yeah,
Jamal Eigel's sequel to the Black series is also on Kickstarter. So if you have two projects that you're going to put your money towards,
make it these two.
Make it these two, one way or the other. Chris, where can we find you?
I mean, I'm at Lampbane, LAMPBANE, but also at Chris Naudus, KRISNAUDUS. One is pleasure, one is business. You can also just go to Engadget.com and hope you spot my byline. Again, last episode we talked about Toy Fair. I don't think I've done a lot since.
That was only like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I've had a busy month. Sometimes I'm on Engadget Today.
There you go.
I get to be on our daily show. So I don't have anything really new to pimp right now.
All right, but Engadget.com basically.
Yeah, go to Engadget and be all like, "Hey, Engadget, please have Chris write more stories. We like her stories."
And
I wrote about a Corsair keyboard, and then they were very sad because I was very mad at it.
Yeah. And Casino, where can they find you?
I am on YouTube as BK's Bullets. Check us out.
And on the Comic Timing feed is BK's Bullets if they want to go back and listen to your best and worst of 2018 when it comes to video games.
Ooh. Yes.
Yep. And also a reminder that if you have not listened to Brent and Jim's takes on the Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman movie, that is also on the feed, and I would highly recommend listening to it. It is a good back and forth between Brent, who knows all about these characters and all about Reign of the Superman and Death of the Superman, and Jim, who knows the Superman is named Superman.
Yes, essentially.
It was actually a really good episode. I enjoyed it a lot. So give it a go. And for me, you can find a lot of my most recent stuff over at ComicGeekSpeak.com. I've been helping out with them a lot lately, and probably be talking about this very same movie again in a couple of days on their show for just so you can hear Chris Eberly and Adam Murdo's takes on it, and hopefully we're gonna have a couple others, maybe Shane and Kevin if they can make it. But ComicGeekSpeak.com. Our most recent episode was actually an introducing for Captain Marvel Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel Gina Svell, and Captain Marvel Carol Danvers. So if you want to know more about those characters, that is a very fun episode, and I had a very good time putting it together. ComicGeekSpeak.com. You can find me at I_AM_sci-fi on Instagram and Twitter. And I think that's all I really feel like pimping, because I don't really go on Tumblr anymore.
No, who does?
No, exactly.
It's just a cesspool. It's not even a cesspool.
Once they took off the porn, what's the point?
Yeah.
Your articles.
Oh, yeah. I write reviews for Comics Verse.
Yes.
You can find that at www.comicsverse.com and just look up my name.
Yep.
That'll also be in the show notes. RAPH.
Yep.
Does stuff. Do not put an L in my name. It's at the end of my name and not in the middle. God, I hate getting Ralphed on. It's gross.
There are so many people we know who still call you Ralph.
Shane did it and when you wished me happy birthday. So I don't mind. It's fine.
Well, I mean, it's basically just mistyping on your keyboard.
Yeah, and if you swipe or autocorrect, it autocorrects usually because Apple and Google fucking hate me.
Yeah, womp womp. All right, well, the email address for Comic Timing is comictiming@gmail.com. You can follow us over at facebook.com/Comic Timing for all of the conversation and random links that we will post from week to week. And also follow Brent over at his BK's Bullets page on Facebook, but he'll also be cross-posting most of those videos over to the Comic Timing page. And we're proud members of the Comics Podcast Network over at comicspodcast.com and the League of Comic Book Podcasts over at comicbooknoise.com/league. Brent, good catching up with you again, sir, and maybe you'll like something a little bit more the next time we speak.
If it's good.
I hope so. I mean, we'll definitely be talking about Shazam, and we better like that. Seriously.
I have high hopes for Shazam.
Yeah, I've been hearing it's almost like Goonies and Big.
Did they not understand what Goonies was about? Goonies was Indiana Jones with children.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to Indiana Jones Shazam. That makes no sense. That's a weird review.
Goonies are good enough. Raph, you're here.
Comics are for everyone.
That's apparently become our sign-off now, whether I like it or not. Thanks for coming here again, Chris.
Sure. I want to go home, and yes.
And as always, there's always time for comics.
Oh, there isn't.
Yes, there is.
Everyone.
Everyone.
I'm very sad that on one of my the Lego and Gadget video, they didn't keep me basically molesting the giant Emmett.
That's special.
You get up early, you get a little zany.
Everything is indeed awesome, apparently.
He had a little photo booth. It was great. He had a little mug. He was all happy sitting on his couch.
Aw.
Sit next to him with a giant Lego mug.
Captain Marvel.
Stop it.
Please.
You are officially banned from that.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick you, and I'm not going to feel bad about it.
Pass me my water, by the way. All right,
Does
Brent.
he get a bigger payout when he does that? Doesn't want you to kick him?
It's a
Maybe. Well, we'll have to figure that out.
Thousands of people watch me
Really? Do what?
play with toys.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I should have my own toy YouTube channel.
Yeah, I guess.
It's nothing like standing next to a little girl at Toy Fair, Googling the name on her badge, and realizing she has 4 million subscribers and doesn't want to be there.
Jesus.